So I've had the game running for a while. I was doing some rendering and uploading, but we're back. This is the Graafschap save, and we are now 5 years in the future since my resignation. So we're going to jump in and take a look at what the team has done. Remembering our last season, we qualified for the Euro Cup 2, Euro 2. So they were in that the first year. And we'll see what they've done, what transfer moves they've made, how they have finished. Are they still in the Eredevisie? We hope so. Fingers crossed. Hey guys, RC here. We are back for our 5-year look back from our climbing the ladder save with the Graafschap. So, let's get in and see how they have done. So PSV, the defending champions. All right, so we left at the end of the 57-58 season. So this was our last year, finishing 5th, qualifying for the Euro 2 on 64 points. And the year before that, we had 76 points. That's a big drop-off, huh? All right, the following year, they finished 3rd and were back in Champions League. So that's incredible. 64 points, only 1 point behind Heerenveen, and PSV ran away with the league that year. But a 3rd place finish, that's strong. A mid-table finish the year after that. So that's a worrying drop-off. So I think this next year is going to be telling. Did they go up or are they on their way out? All right, they moved back up into Euro Cup. So that's good. 6th position. 6th position again, but they did not qualify. I guess that would be Euro Cup, right? Maybe, or did they lose that spot? I don't know what that means. And then a 5th place finish. So they have become a solid upper half Eredevisie side since my departure and what I built them into. I take full credit for that. I take full credit. All right, so we won the league, or we finished 2nd, automatic promotion, 2nd and 5th, so 3rd, 11th, a pair of 6th, and a 5th. So they have done a bang-up job. All right, so we want to start looking at the end of the 56, at the end of the 57-58 season. All right, so here is, remember we brought these guys in. Did they have any late sales? And they did. They sold Kevin Kaiser to Linzer Athletic Sports Club for $900,000. And with them, he spent 2 years in Austria, was never the first choice, was sold for $2 million to Freiburg, went to the Bundesliga, and he's bounced around there from Freiburg to Heidenheim to Bayer Leverkusen. So 2 million, 2.2, and 2 million, really never being the number one choice. He had 7 starts, 5 reserve appearances for Freiburg, but that's the most starts. So he was never a number one ever again after losing his spot in my final season. Okay, so then we move into the 58-59 season, and we're more worried about who left. So Joseph Casella, our veteran center back, goes off to Servette for $4.5 million in Switzerland in the Super League, and he bounces around there. He spent 1 year at Servette, sold for 4.8 to Lausanne, and then spent 3 years there before going to St. Gallen for 2.7. Looks like he started plenty of games, 32 first team, 32 first team. So yeah, four strong years as a starter there, which is good because after our first Eredevisie year, he was not a first choice for us. So good on him. He got into the starting side with a future club. Let's see, Pavel Budetsky, 185,000. Michael goes off to Muscaron for 1.6. He was the young Spaniard that we brought in, left winger. We got him on a free, and they sold him the year I left for 1.6, and then he got a heavy discount to stay in the Pro League in Belgium to go to Danes. So that was an interesting move. Zoltan Nagy. All right, that's an interesting move because he didn't stay long with us. He goes to Anderlecht for 2.3 million. So we had signed him on a free, and he had 9 starts, 8 reserve appearances. He played well, 7 assists, 1 player of the match. And so they move him on for a nice profit, 2.3. Anderlecht then sends him to Bochum in Germany's Bundesliga for 12.75 million, and he stays there for a few years and then goes to the Russian Premier League to Zenit for 7.25 million. All right. And I mean, he's still only 26 years old and very solid. So kind of disappointing they got rid of him. I thought he was really coming into his own. There's the move that we kind of expected, but look at what they got. They got robbed by Liverpool, I think, because he was by far the best center back we had. He's valued at $82 million. He's only 24 years old. He was 19 years old when Liverpool bought him. They got robbed. 28 starts, a 709. This should have been another $80 or $90 million move, or he would never have left if I would have been there. 31.5 to Liverpool, 11 starts, but then he's been a bench player. 14 starts a couple of years ago, 26 starts last year, this past season. So he became their number one center back this past year in the Premier League. They got a steal at 31.5 million. Thomas Muller never broke in with us, 550,000. That's probably a good move. We paid 1.5 million, so we took a beating on the sale, and then he went on to Rapid Vienna in Austria for 875,000. I don't even remember this guy. 20 million for Peter Visic. I paid 3.4 million for him. Loaned him out to Beretta my last year. First year back, played twice, and then moved on to Sint Prudence for 20 million. Played a full year for them, 26 starts, and then 8.75 as he moves to Qatar and became a regular starter for the most part there. Don't really remember him. Midfielder. So I think they did good to get some money for him. Jazvich goes off to Venlo for 1.2 million. He's 32 now. So we paid 600,000 to pick him up from Brøndby. We double our money the year after I left as he goes to Venlo, and then Venlo sells him for just a slight discount to Nijmegen for 1 million. So he's still hanging around in the Netherlands. That's a good thing. Marcus Bumgartner, 2.5 up front, 3.6. He's still only 28 years of age. We paid 2.6, and he started 21 matches, 5 goals, 8 assists, a 7.03 rating. I think that was a really good signing. We made $1 million a year later, and he has been a regular for Sturm Graz, it appears, in the Austrian Premier. And that's where he came from, so he went back home. Amin El Hashimi goes for 2 million. Alicja Cervenka goes to Odense Bowl Club for 2 million. He's 27, Czechoslovakian. So we had signed him for 450,000. And he played for us, lost his starting place, but, 30 starts in my next to last season. 4 starts, 8 reserve appearances. My final year, and then 1 reserve appearance, and then he went off to Denmark for $2 million, and then he came back to the Netherlands in the Eredevisie for Breda on a free. That's interesting. So he has been back up 14 starts and 32 starts for Breda last year. So he's returned back home. Abanda Jan de Vos goes for $4.9 million. He's now 32, so he's aged a little bit with the 5-year run. We paid 1.4. Early in that season, he goes to AEK for 4.9. That's Athens, so he's in the Greek Super League. Goes to Switzerland for the same price a couple of years later, and goes to the Turkish Super League to Fenerbahce for $3 million. So he's bounced around a little bit, but he's been putting in goals. He's been having some good ratings. I think he's had an excellent career. Can't complain about that at all. Wow. Eugene Reske, Red Bull Salzburg for $31 million. These are all in the first year after my departure. So I paid $8.5 to bring him in. He never was a real potent goal scorer. He was always like second choice behind Krkic. But then that last year, 17 starts, he had 9 goals that year. And then again, 11 goals, 11 matches. So I guess he got moved in the winter window for $31 million to Salzburg. 10 starts, 20 reserve appearances with 10 goals. And then 5 that last year there. Then $8.5 million to Lille in France Ligue 1. And then $7 million as he goes to the Spanish First Division. And he had his best year 2 years ago as he played for Valladolid. 15 goals in 14 starts. That's really solid. And then he was sold to Real Hispalis for $24 million. So another big fee as he earned his way back up. 13 starts with 4 goals for that club. So not bad, not bad. Cho Hyungwon loaned out. Rossi. Momcilovic goes to Sasho Montbéliard. I think that's Ligue 1. $46.5 million. They actually got some good money. He's only 25 years old. We paid 1.3. He played 17 games before being moved on in the winter window to Ligue 1. That's a nice fee. I probably wouldn't have been able to say no to that, but he had a lot of ability. Don't know if we ever saw the best of him, though. Lucas Spans goes off on a free. Samal Demir, a mere $1.8 million. That's kind of depressing. So we had paid 3.1. Looks like he played half a season in reserves. Went off to the Croatian First League for 1.8. Back to the Netherlands to NEC. They had come up to the Eredevisie that year for 1.2, and then Utrecht bought him for 2.6. So he is still in the Eredevisie, so that's good. And then Timo De Beer goes to Sparta for $500,000. All right, what about the following year? Grutunk, $2.2 million to Groningen. All right, so he stayed in the Eredevisie. We had signed him for 4.9. Had a good run with us. And then a couple of seasons after I left, goes to Groningen, then to Genk for $3.4 million, and then a quick turnaround to Hajduk in the Croatian First Division for $975,000. And he looks like he's done pretty decent there. 30 starts and 11 starts. Wonder if he had an injury problem that year or he lost his spot. Remember, he had become pretty far down the pecking order. Vladimir Patrick, that was the goalkeeper we were pretty high on. He goes to Vitesse for 1.5. Only 26 years old. We had signed him for 1.6. Vitesse bought him for a slight discount. Then he went on to the Belgian Pro League, to Mechelen for 1.8, and then a return to Fortuna Sittard for 2.1 million. All right, Jan Voss. Who's this guy? Stefan Frankel to Lille for 15 and a quarter. Okay, that was somebody they bought after I left, so not worried about him. They sold Mohamed Kara to Chelsea for $52 million. Now remember that last year we had gotten that really good goalkeeper in our youth intake, and we had also signed a couple of goalkeepers. Now, I haven't seen El Batabi's name come up, so he's still here, potentially. Petrovic just left, we just saw. But Kara, only 26 years old, we had paid 43 and a half, and they moved him to Chelsea for 52, and then they moved him on to Amiens in France for 44. I think we probably should have waited for a bigger payday on him, because I think he was really good. Dimitrovic goes to Feyenoord for 2.3. He's only 26 years old, and he's still playing solid. Never was a big goal scorer. We got him on a free, and he was an everyday starter through the year, for the 2 seasons he was with us. Played 2 seasons after I left and moved on to Feyenoord, and he is still an everyday Eredevisie starter. I'm going to be interested to see who they've got now. Babel goes to, oh my God, they let Babel go on a free. Are you kidding me? Remember, Babel had such a huge upside. We had paid $1 million for him. Oh my, he goes to Breda on loan and then Den Haag on a free. Oh, that's a travesty. And I know he scored a goal. He's only 23 years old. I cannot believe they let him go. Vanderhorst goes off on a free. We paid 1.7. He had quite a few starts, a good run, 9 goals in that last year that I was here, but just lost his place. They moved him on for a free, and then they sold him to Hajduk for 1.2 million. Wow. And Hyungwon, he goes off on a free as well. We signed him for 3 million. He didn't really break in. I was thinking he was a year or 2 away. They loan him out back to South Korea, and then he just goes on a free to the club he'd been on loan with. That's a little disappointing. All right, moving on to 3 years after I left. There is Anton Krkic, and they only got 1.7 million from Bruges. Oh my, he's only 27. We paid $975. He scored 53 goals in 2 seasons and then lost his place. Only 4 goals that last year, and then just never was a regular starter. That's disappointing. Disappointing. He did go to SLB in Portugal's Premier League. 6 goals in 19 matches, 9 of those starts, but look at his rating. So he really fell apart after that 2-year run, but I'd be hard-pressed to think of many players that I've had that kind of 2-year run with. Nicky OMalley, that was the young goalkeeper that we had signed with the high eccentricity. Yep. So we had signed him for $300,000. He bounced around. He goes to Stoke for 1.9, and he is still there. Looks like he had 11 starts, only conceded 15 goals in the Premier League. That's pretty solid, but back to being a second choice. I'm guessing there was an injury issue at Stoke that year. Rowan Tintej, off on loan. Renee, he there? Nope, that was after I left. Krispy Kreme, he goes to Salzburg for $31.5 million. So he evidently turned out to be a pretty decent center back. We knew he would be. But man, only 24, and they've moved him on. So we paid 3.6. He goes to Salzburg. 3 years after my departure for 31.5, and then Man City picks him up for 43.5. And he was a starter for Salzburg. 8 starts, 4 reserves, and then was sold in that mid-season window, and then started 5 for Man City last year in the second half of the season. So that's a pretty good move for him. We're now at +4, and there's Fritz Grobler. So he was a center back that we had signed, more of a left back, but he could play. Never really broke in with us. He was actually in our farm system. Good. So I left here. They sent him out on loan, or we sent him out on loan. They did move a couple of the bigger guys, so he became a starter for us. And then he moved to Standard de Liège. Remember that club that we beat? $6 million. And then Heidenheim for 9.25. So he's moved up to the Bundesliga, and he's a starter there as well. So he turned out to be pretty solid. Dimitro Dickey, he goes to Club Bruges, $22 million. So we had signed him for $1.5 million. He had 8 goals that first season coming in the winter window. The year after I left, 18 goals in 27 starts. So he turned into the real deal. Looks like he lost his place that year. Back into the starting 11 with 8 goals in 12. And then he was sold off after just a couple of matches. So early in that summer window, Club Bruges picks him up, and he has responded with 45 goals. Gotta wonder what they were doing with him that De Graafschap was not. He showed some potential right there, but they let him get away, although he looks like he played well. But 45 goals in 2 seasons for Club Bruges. I think that was a good move for him. I don't recognize any of the other names here. And we come into the last year, and there's Rowan Tintej for $600,000. Konings must be a guy they signed. I don't recognize any of the names. So let's go look at the tactics. So Ronnie Evers is still there, so that's good. Well, I guess let's see. So they're playing 4-2-3-1 now. All right, so Evers we brought in, remember, for 10.75. He had 15 goals, 19 in the league that year. Why's it only 7? Oh, there we go. 15 in 30, but he had 10 other goals, so 25 all across competitions. 17 goals, 11 goals. And actually, that's just league. So 28 goals, 24 goals, 17 goals, 22 goals, and 20 goals this past season. These are just league, so just looking across all competitions. So he's had a very good career. Let's see what he's done. So 187 appearances, 87 goals for the club since coming over. Just barely, just over 1 and 2, and he's only 27 years old. Yanson, we brought him in our last season for $10.5 million. He has continued to be featuring in the club all the way through this year. 9 goals in 31 starts in the league, so his best year so far. So I think we've gotten our $10 million out of him. I don't recognize anybody on the back line or in the goal. Wow. They signed him on a free. All right, so let's look at the squad. So I don't see El Batavi, Ruben Yanson, and Ronnie Evers. That is it. Outside of those two, they have completely gutted our squad. Anybody down here that I recognize? Hans Mertens, possibly? Yeah, we paid $275 my last year, but he has not made any appearances. Christopher Christ, I recognize him. He was in that last youth intake class. This was the guy that was the 5-star, 4.5-star that year, that last season. So he has not made his debut yet. Yeah, I don't recognize anybody. So that's it. There's not a whole lot there. Let's go to the leagues in focus. So taking a look at the Premier Division, last year was Man City, Burnley, Middlesbrough, Leicester got relegated. Arsenal won the year before. Everton, Tranmere, and Leeds got relegated. Man City won. Crystal Palace, Shrewsbury, Sheffield United. Okay, taking a look at the championship. All right, so it was Tottenham, Tranmere, and Everton coming up. Leeds, Middlesbrough, Sheffield United. Tranmere, Norwich, Everton. Crystal, Shrewsbury, Leicester. And Sheffield, Everton, Leeds. And that would be this year. All right, so that was the Premier League. Ligue 1, kind of looking through here. So last year, PSG winning it. Yeah, they've just been very consistent all the way through. That would definitely be a league you'd want to go in and try to knock them off. Moving over to the Bundesliga. So it was Bayern Munich last year. Each of the last 5 seasons winning it handily. Over to the Spanish First Division. So you had Real Madrid this year, last year, Barcelona. Even points, they won on goal differential. Wow. Barcelona, Real Madrid. So, those two clubs that you would expect. And Serie A. So Torino was the champions this year. Pescara last year. Fiorentina, Verona. So some interesting names there. So let's see, 5 years ago, so there's Juventus. They've made it back up from second division, but still not finishing in the top level. Inter Milan, Juventus finished third. 9th place finish that year. 5th place finish that season. And look, here's AC Milan. So they must have gotten promoted. Don't see them. I didn't see them anywhere in here. I know one of you guys had asked about them in particular. So they must have gotten promoted up and then went right back down. So that's too bad. All right, well, there is a look at it, guys. I hope you enjoyed the 5-year look back. It's always interesting because sometimes you see clubs are mainly kept together. In this case, they pretty much cleared house over the 5 seasons. And a lot of those moves were over the first 2 years. And a lot of those guys went on to have success in other places. So gotta think we did a good job putting talent together. We certainly built the infrastructure and the talent level to get them solidly into the top half. And they have had some success across the board. So 1 Dutch Cup, me, 2057. 4 of those championships, we finished second, and a Dutch Tweed division well before my time. So we took them over right here. And we finished second, got promoted. So 50-51 was my first year. 14th, very good improvements, leveled out, and then jumped all the way to second, and then 5th in my last season. And they've done pretty solidly upper half of the league since my departure. I think we have to chalk this one up as a successful career, and we have left this club in a very good spot. They are classified as rich, national reputation, excellent and great facilities. I think I would have probably spent some money to keep those at 5-star if I could. And they are in the Euro Cup in the current season that we're going into. So all things are good. Let me know what you guys think. Hope you enjoyed the look back. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to stay up to date for daily Football Manager content. And don't forget, we'll be moving into the new save in 2 days, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, replacing this save. and it is the Match of the Day series that I've already started giving you guys some sneak peeks at here over the last couple of weeks. So hope you tune into that. Thanks so much. And for those of you De Graafschap fans that tuned in, thank you so much. And I hope you stick around. Thanks again. Take care. Bye.